department, they told us right away, right, that very first night after Casey was taken into custody. And the next day they said that they could only find one Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez in this area, and they checked it out from Kissimmee. Well, since then, you know, people have been pulling up records, people searches, and all over, and there's at least 9 in Orlando and 4 or 5 in Fort Lauderdale and New York. Casey said from the beginning that Zanny was from New York. She'd had a Fort Lauderdale connection. She has a Fort Lauderdale phone number at one time. That there was New Jersey connections. There's New Jersey people by this name. So I'm just saying there are people out there, just because they didn't find someone right now with this. And Casey had told me over the last 3 years that Zanny had moved at least 3 different times that I was aware of. Okay, I was actually the one that gave the police the last known number that I'd address in case I ever needed to go pick Kaylee up out of my address book. And in his report, Melich's report, it says, as a note, the initial responding deputies had found a handwritten note with the address of 232 Glenwood in the defendant's car prior to my arrival. Well, that's not true. They knew. They had an address that Casey had provided them that was real close, okay, to that area. When that didn't pan out, I said, well, wait a minute, I think I have an address. I went into my kitchen, pulled out my address book, and pulled out that yellow sticky note that had the Glenwood Avenue address, and walked it out and said, I just got this out of my address book, try this one. So, you know, I mean, just things like that. That's a misstatement right there. Bottom line is, the tie with that 232 Glenwood Avenue, that's the address of the person that now I think has something to do with, it's all part of this.
Is that the apartment complex?
It's the apartment complex, and these people that I'm going to talk to you about currently live there. Okay. So again, if Casey did not want to take them directly, and if they knew she had them right then and there or something, I don't know. I don't know all of Casey's reasoning. All I know is what I'm piecing together, and I think could be some excellent leads to go on, because it's making sense. And then you guys, if it doesn't pan out, that's fine. I just want to help in any way. But you guys might start thinking about, when I start going into this, it makes a heck of a lot of sense.
Okay. What I want to point out to you, okay, and I want you to remember this all the time, because I'm not going to mislead you or lie to you or make you feel good about anything, because that's not my job.
I know it's not.
What I do want you to understand, I want you to keep it in the back of your mind all the time, is that we have a young lady with a missing 2-year-old child, and she happens to be your daughter. Okay?
I understand that.
And I understand that she is putting out to you that she's very fearful over her daughter's safety for some reason or another. At this point in time, it has to be made clear to Casey that your daughter's safety may be in jeopardy, but the only way for us to find her is for her to tell us why she's concerned, not allude to.
I know.
And that, unfortunately, what's going to happen is that's going to come down to you and your husband and your son.
We're trying.
I know you
really
are.
Trying
there's no doubt in my mind you are, because I know where you're coming from. I know what you're doing and what you're going through.
We're really trying to get as much out of her as we can. A couple months ago, way before all this happened, I saw this photograph of Kaylee.
Mm-hmm.
I said, oh, where was this taken? She said, that's Zanny's apartment. Okay, that's Zanny's apartment.
Okay. Can we keep this? Or do you need it back?
You can have it. I can print another one off the website. Okay, that picture with the, I don't know if you're familiar with the rock band that hooks up to Nintendo or one of the things where kids can play.
Yeah, they can play the drums.
Yes, Kaylee loves the drums. She's always loved the drums. In fact, George and I have been kicking around when to get her drums. 3rd birthday, 4th birthday, 5th birthday. Because the girl can keep a beat.
Mm-hmm.
She's been able to keep a beat since she was 2. With music. She can keep a beat, and she loves to bang on the drums. And I asked her about that photograph a few months ago, because I said, oh, whose apartment is that? Has Kaylee been on the drums? She says, yeah, and Zanny's been teaching her, and Zanny also has a keyboard. Well, my daughter has a keyboard. Kaylee has a couple little keyboards, but Casey has the big keyboard. Kaylee loves music. Casey did the same thing I did when I was pregnant. I introduced that, I just used to play music all the time to my belly. I introduced Mozart and Beethoven and Bach and all the classical stuff, besides what's out there now. You know, Casey did the same thing. She borrowed all of my CDs and she introduced the same thing. And my kids both love, you know, music and things like that, and Kaylee just loves it. She loves to dance. She has rhythm. I mean, it's really cool. So I think there's something to that in vitro stuff that you can really influence a child on, you know, what they like or don't like.
Right.
So that stood out in my mind that several months ago, before all of this happened, you know, that she said that that was Zanny's apartment. So the picture right there, Zanny's apartment. And again, Zanny may not be Zenaida. Zanny may be referring to the nanny or the babysitter, someone watching them. So Zanny's apartment right now, to me, in that photograph, is a big clue, okay? That picture right there. This was again stated before all this happened, that was Zanny's apartment.
And how old is this picture?
Probably, this dress is only since the beginning of the year, so probably maybe between March and May. Taken somewhere in that time, okay? And like I said, that's...
Casey told you that was Zanny's apartment.
Yes, I asked her specifically, you know, where was that taken, because I was interested in the drums, you know, because I didn't recognize that apartment. Mm-hmm. Well, I just found out a week ago that that's Ricardo's apartment. Ricardo was someone that Casey had been seeing and just had broken up with.
So this is Ricardo.
Week before Kaylee went missing.
Okay, how do you know? How did you find out this is Ricardo's apartment?
Because Amy told me. Amy was the person that took me to Casey on the 15th of July, and Ricardo confirmed that when he was at my house a week ago that indeed is his apartment.
Okay.
Okay, so that's Ricardo's apartment. That's
right.
A fact.
So
Ricardo
it wasn't
Morales.
Zanny's apartment like Casey said. It was somebody else's. Okay.
It's someone else's. Ricardo Morales' apartment. Okay, which is very key, because the address that she took the detectives to on Glenwood, Ricardo lives in that complex. Ricardo and Amy are roommates now. I just found out that Ricardo and Amy were roommates.
Okay.
That's also Ricardo where he lives. So that's another thing that's important.
Right.
The location of his apartment, okay, that's the one, the picture of Casey, or of Kaylee. And again, I hadn't put all these thoughts completely down on paper. I was jotting stuff down last night, but...
Glenwood, right?
Yes, on Glenwood. And I'm not sure exactly what apartment number it is, but he lives in that complex, over there. Okay. The detectives also said that there was a person by the name of Zenaida looking at apartments in that. So I don't know if Casey knew. I don't know what that tie is in. I haven't figured that out or not. But either Sergeant Allen or Detective Melich said that, you know, a person by that name did look at those apartments some time back. So I don't know if Casey was aware of that or what, and used that as a reference. And that's why Zanny came into this picture.
She said specifically, from my understanding, that she did drop Kaylee off at Zanny's apartment, at these apartments.
Right. Well,
that's what she. That
right,
my
and
that was what she told
Kaylee
them.
was at that apartment quite a bit, is what I'm getting at.
Okay.
From Ricardo's statement to the police and to my son, that Casey actually stayed at his house on June the 9th and the 10th, I think. Either June 9th or June 10th that she stayed over, and he saw
Was
her.
Kaylee with her?
Yes. He saw her on June 11th, and that's when they had a falling out, on June 11th, which was the week before Kaylee turned up missing, because the last time that my husband saw Kaylee was the 16th,
Mm-hmm.
and the 16th was the day that Casey says that, you know, she went back to pick Kaylee up from the babysitters, and they weren't there, okay? So I think that's kind of important too, because just a week prior. Now, the other thing that didn't hit me strangely, Casey has told me all along that Zanny had been a seasonal employee at Universal Studios. I'm not sure, I haven't figured this out